Hello, everybody, and welcome to Series 5, Episode 2 of the Racing Together webinar series. My name is Matt Jones. I'm the Senior Race Day Experience and Communications Executive at the Racecourse Association and your host for today's webinar. So, for anyone that doesn't know, the Racecourse Association is the representative body of 58 of the racecourses across Great Britain. We work with the racecourses across all manner of things, representing them at an industry level in industry discussions, and then also across sort of all facets of racecourse businesses, from fixtures and funding to race day operations, marketing, comms, PR, you name it, we're sort of involved with it in one way or another. Everything that we do is sort of underpinned by our four values, which are excellence, innovation, leadership, and togetherness. And particularly on those excellence and innovation values, the culmination of that is our showcase and awards event, which we run every year in November. It's a big industry black tie event for racecourses to celebrate the best of racecourse operations from the past 12 months. One of the categories that we have at that event is the Racing Together Community Awards. We've been delighted to work with Racing Together now for a number of years to promote the best in community activity that goes on at racecourses across Great Britain. And I'm very pleased to have a selection of the finalists from 2025's Racing Together Community Awards with me today on this webinar to discuss some of their submissions that they put in for our awards, and then some of the wider community work that goes on at their venues. So just a few housekeeping bits before we introduce today's panelists and kick on with the rest of the webinar. The webinar is being recorded. You can view it online afterwards, both on the Racing Together website, on their YouTube channel, and podcast links will be emailed out after this session. You can sign up to the Racing Together newsletter on their website to find out about future episodes and other activations and work that Racing Together have going on this year. Questions are welcomed throughout the session. If you do have any questions for anything that anybody's discussing, please feel free to pop them in the chat, and we can raise those throughout the session. So please do get involved. And then finally, once the webinar has finished, there'll be a quick survey will pop up to invite any feedback or requests from future topics from anybody that's listening today. So please do take the time to complete that if you can. Always welcome feedback onto how we can evolve these sessions for the future and topics that people might be interested in hearing. So, Racing Together represent all the sports varied community engagement and education activities, and they are a partnership led by the education charity Racing to School. These webinars are designed to engage a range of voices on themes at the heart of racing's support of its communities. And like I say, today's webinar is titled Best in Class Racecourses in Their Communities. So we're racecourse focused today. And I'm pleased that we've been joined by the panelists who are run some of the best community programs across British racecourses, and will have lots of best practice and good ideas that they can share with anybody that's tuning in today. So, without further ado, I will hand over to our panelists to introduce themselves and give a brief overview of what they put in for Showcase last year and what they'll be discussing today. So, Sarah, if I could start with you.
Oh, the pressure. Thanks, Matt. My name's Sarah Drabwell. I run Sandown Park Racecourse. It's a huge honour. Our submission for last year's RCA award was actually the culmination of a 3-year campaign to open our gates to our local community. And the final piece in that puzzle was launching the community fund for Elmbridge, which is where we encourage everyone within Elmbridge to fundraise together to create a large pot that we can then use to help a range of different great causes through our local community.
Hey, thank you, Sarah. Debbie, if I go to you next.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, yes, my name is Debbie Powell. I'm General Manager for Football RBA. I've been working with this is only actually for years. I've been past Football RBA now for 15 years. Our submission was very much about a collaboration with Racecourse. We have now been part of Racecourse now for just over 40 years of working with all sorts of areas, but hopefully we can work to how we can expand and we can do together in the future.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. I'm not sure if your mic is working properly or if you've got something over the microphone there, Debbie. It was a little bit muffled for me. Have a look at that. In the meantime, Grant, if I could hand over to you.
Yeah, sure. Grant Rowley, strategic comms lead for the Jockey Club. Worked here 12 years. The kind of first kind of community focus that I had was at Aintree Racecourse, where I am now, setting up the community program back in kind of 2014, which has been really successful, to be honest. And then obviously now strategic comms lead, kind of looking after the strategy for the Jockey Club around social impact. And our submission for Aintree was around the City of Sport and Excellence. So we worked and will be working again with Liverpool Football Club and Everton Football Club as a kind of tri-partnership around bringing there's about 300 to 350 kids into Aintree, doing a bit of team building, doing a bit of football skills, but more importantly, the racing education side of things. And that worked extremely well last year. We are doing it again in just over 5 weeks' time.
That's great. Thank you, Grant. So if we take a bit of time now to go a little bit deeper into some of those submissions that you put forwards and the various work streams that were involved with them. Sarah, if I come to you first. So you set up the community fund for Elmbridge. As you say, it was the culmination of a few years' work. But why did you decide to set this fund up, and what's it meant for the community and the racecourse?
Well, one of the real reasons for doing this, so when I took over at Sandown Park, our racecourse attendance was only made up of a very small number of local attendances. In fact, Sandown Park has the lowest local attendance, or did have, of any Jockey Club racecourse. And you have to think that if you can unlock that local attendance, bearing in mind our location and how many people we have around us, there's actually a really strong argument for this community-led approach, not being just a CSR thing you're doing out of the goodness of your heart. It's a proper business reason that actually generates an ROI for you. So there were two reasons that we focused on community at Sandown Park. The first was that really low local attendance, which we believe there was a business case and ROI for. But actually our location within the country, if we think about some of the biggest problems our sport is facing, social acceptance is one of them, and that's very much an urban issue and not a rural one. And our location, 22 minutes from London Waterloo on a train, means that actually we've got a responsibility for the whole of British racing to make sure that we're engaging with as many people as we can and showing them what a fabulous sport we have. So that's why. And what has it resulted in? Well, we're delighted to say we've raised a lot of money very quickly, and we've just supported our first 4 local charities. So we've given money to the local Riding for Disabled group, local Home Start, local Rent Start, and of course I can't remember the 4th one because of the pressure of this webinar. But aside from that, so we've done great things for the community. We've galvanised people together. They're talking. We've got great relationships being built. And then from a business point of view, our marketable database is up 17% year on year. Our local attendance has gone from 11% to 15%, and our underlying paid attendance this year is up 5%. But more importantly, our EBITDA across the 3-year period has moved on by over £1 million, and this year alone, our underlying performance 26% up year on year. So this approach is more than just doing what's right for community. There are valid business reasons, and I do encourage everyone to not think about it as something you do after you've delivered your profit. You can do it as well as delivering profit. In fact, it's incremental to it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. I think there's some some messages there that everybody can take away, and some really impressive results that you've managed to deliver at Sandown and really sort of transform the business by taking a community-led approach. Grant, if I could bring you in here, I think Aintree is very much sort of rooted in its community, and you see that particularly during the Grand National Festival, how the people of Liverpool sort of come out to do that. And I know that's not, that hasn't happened by accident. That's been years of work by you and your team, to make that happen. So how have you gone about doing that? And I guess your City of Sporting Excellence and working with other major sporting bodies in the City of Liverpool has been sort of key to that.
Yeah, partnerships are key, 100%. We're not like a Liverpool Football Club Foundation who have 250 people kind of working for them. Resources is tricky, so you kind of have to lean on other sporting organisations who love our sport as well. They want to be part of what we're doing. So Liverpool and Everton, obviously the obvious ones, which with the City of Sporting Excellence has worked really, really well. I think I totally agree with Sarah, from a I suppose commercial finance perspective. We started this program back in, as I say, 2014, and it's difficult to evaluate, and we'll probably come into evaluation a little bit later. But if you look at an example, say Ladies' Day, back then it was around kind of 35,000 people. Now it's around 50,000 people each year. It's hard to evaluate that engaging with the local community has helped that, but it is part of a big parcel of things that have gone in that trajectory. The City of Sporting Excellence has been a real success, and obviously the Beacon Racecourse activity, which we've done for 10 years, with Maricourt School, is engaged with about, I think, 9,000 to 10,000 children. So we're very proud of that. And I think one thing that we're trying to build on a bit more as well is our relationship with Park Palace Ponies, which is an inner city riding school who are struggling, without a doubt, financially, but something that has been a real success for especially kind of over the summer months, where we've had about 800 kids per year coming in just to try riding for the first time, between 5 and 10 years old, jumping on a pony, bringing their family down and things like that, and we provide that for free. And obviously our relationship with Aldhay, which is kind of it's actually 25-year anniversary this year, so plenty that's kind of going on. But it's been good.
No, absolutely. And I think, like you say, the partnerships work is really important and can help sort of extend the reach of the racecourse and the sort of valuable work that you're doing to more beneficiaries and getting more people involved. Perhaps here I can bring you in, Debbie, on a partnerships perspective, and for you to bring the perspective of the sort of partner themselves and what benefit that's brought to you. So for those that don't know, Cotswolds RDA have had a long-term partnership with Cheltenham Racecourse, which hopefully, Debbie, you would agree has been very beneficial to both parties. So perhaps you could tell us a bit about that partnership that you have with Cheltenham, and how it's helped your centre sort of develop and grow over time, and the sort of activities you can offer out as a result.
Yes, thank you, Matt. I'm hoping you can hear me better. Can you?
It's still a little bit muffled for me. I'm not.
I don't know what else I can do. I'm trying everything here, so I'm not sure why it's probably been muffled. Am I okay to speak?
Yeah, that's okay now.
Better. Okay. Yes, it's been an amazing partnership, and I don't know where we would be without something like Cotton RDA celebrated its 60th birthday last year, but for many of those years, County Racecourse has been a huge part of it. So for those that don't know, when we started, it was 60, and somebody's back garden was 12 people, 12 participants. County Racecourse in the early 80s allowed us to have this land which we could grow on, and now we are running 180, well, I have 180 riders per week, and giving many other opportunities alongside that. And it wasn't the Cheltenham races, it's just been lots impossible. So we have also lots of space in stores. But what he also wants is working with them. Their house is having a fundraiser and charity will tie nowadays that's very difficult. And I think the commitment to things they worked out that was £1 million in some ways with a house down in Racecourse. It's something which has been allowing us to bucket there. It's been absolutely wonderful to work alongside the charities as well. If I talk to kids and girls now, and through doing that as well, that's not only helped us with orders. So it enables people to also get access to classes. And now we work with girls on a regular basis, which again we never would have done. We would have just known about that. So, we have amazing help in all different ways, as you can imagine. And literally from the ground staff that save our neck on a regular time when we can't operate because it's always stuck. Something very simple. Might seem incredibly simple, but for charity and to our participants, you know, if we start the day that's a lot of money, John most experts and I've got that. So there are many different ways in which we work together. And I think as well, with working alongside the equine industry, the social value of the horse now is getting talked about a lot. And I think that that's so important. I think the RDA is as useful to you as it is to us, as you are to us, because you know, the impact of using the horse through RDA is absolutely special and magical.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of racecourses will work with their local RDA, but there's so much that that we can do that is sort of mutually beneficial to both parties. And to add as well, all three of these submissions that were finalists at last year's showcase are available to view on the Racecourse Association website in our Hall of Fame. So if you do want to find out a few more details about the partnerships and what's gone on, you can view them there as well for more information. So we've spoken a little bit here about sort of social license and measuring the actual impact of this work. And I'd be interested to find out a bit more about that because I think, you know, we're at a stage as an industry, from a racecourse perspective at least, where there's a lot of this work going on, but actually being able to quantify it and measure it is the next step. So Grant, perhaps if I could bring you in here first, and then other people, please feel free to sort of join as Grant's discussing it. But I know you've done a number of sort of economic impact reports across Jockey Club, and then you're working as well for different ways to measure this sort of work.
Yeah, so from an economic perspective, to start on that, really, we did one across Aintree and Cheltenham in 2023, which was based on 2022, which was a good year to do it, to be honest, because there was bumper crowds obviously coming back from COVID. So there was an economic impact report for the Grand National, which was about 62 million pounds for the local economy, which is great. Beat Eurovision, which is 56 million when it was in Liverpool, which is good. And then the Cheltenham Festival, which was 274 million. So we used local universities to kind of support us in delivering that. Obviously, that's a great tool to use moving forward from various things, whether it's a political perspective. Obviously, they gained really good media coverage. I remember for the Grand National, with the front page of the Echo on the first day of the Grand National Festival in 2023, which is great. And then we did one for Epsom last year as well. So that has worked well. It's something that I'm keen to look at the Jockey Club around other racecourses as well, because it is a really good tool to use. In terms of other evaluation, we're working with a company called Upshot, which some people will know because they, Preeti, who is the founder and owner, is at the Industry Day on the 4th of February, the Racing Together Industry Day. So we've been working with them for a little while now around trying to understand all the great work that happens across the Jockey Club. There's so much that happens, and obviously, you know, we have so many different communities, from, you know, Wincanton's completely different to Liverpool, to Epsom, to Cheltenham, to Sandown, etc. So just trying to understand what we've done over the past year and then working forwards, just to have it all in one place. because we work in kind of isolation for, a fair bit when it comes to community work, and that's superb. But just having one place so we can tell the story, and it's all it's about storytelling as well. So yeah, watch this space on that.
Yeah, thank you, Grant. I think it's so important now. We've already mentioned a few times that sort of social license conversation and racing in its place, particularly in urban areas, and being able to talk to work like this and actually put numbers behind it is so helpful, not only from sort of talking to the community, but also, yeah, talking to government, to industry, and for a lot of important conversations that are going on. So, yeah, any way in which we can quantify this work to make it almost sort of make it a bit more commercial rather than a nice to have.
And and that's the other thing as well. You say the word commercial. I and when I first started doing the kind of community work, I'm from a comms perspective from PR, but actually listening to, and we're working with another agency called Think Beyond around the strategy, the Jockey Club, and they've worked with Liverpool and many other different sporting organisations. And at Liverpool, as an example, created the Red Way, which kind of pulled everything together, which was great. But you look at their kind of partners, their commercial partners to the Red Way, and there's about 25. So actually being able to pull together things that we do, working together with the partnership team now, which is something fairly new, from a corporate affairs and a partnership perspective, it's something that we can commercialize much better than we have done before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mentioned there sort of putting everything that you do into one thing, and that's certainly, I think, fair for what you've done at Sandown, Sarah, by creating the community fund. It's helped to sort of drive things into one central place. Has that been helpful from your
You know,
perspective operationally?
hugely helpful. So we get asked, and I'm sure every race course out there will have people approach them on a weekly basis for support. And actually that can be really challenging to decide who you help. Sometimes you can end up helping the wrong people because they get you early in the year when you've got funds to spare or time spare. So actually, we have said to everyone this year, and we've encouraged all the businesses that support us as well to do the same, rather than, when someone comes along and says, "Oh, can you help us?" We say, "Well, not now, but you can apply to the fund." And that way, we make sure we're helping the right people in the right way. But actually, we can measure as well how much we've put back in. So, I mean, obviously, we still do lots of other stuff as well. And I want to pick up on a point Debbie made about things which are hard for charities are easy for us. So we still do all of the other bits, like we run the Santa Fun Run for the local Princess Alice Hospice, and when we have when people need parking spaces, we will offer those. So we still do all those other things as well. But for our fundraising, we pull it into one place so we can really measure that. And then we still do all those things that are really easy for us, but actually hard for other people, and create a big impact. And again, there's this other piece that you really can't measure here, which is brand equity. So when we do something good for Princess Alice, all of the people that feel good about Princess Alice feel good about us, and that's that little unmeasurable piece. So whilst we've pulled it into one place and it makes it much more measurable, we still do the unmeasurable stuff, and actually there's still that brand piece that all of this good feeling generates.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of a butterfly effect, isn't it?
Mm.
Um, you helping a charity that, like you say, everybody then connected to that charity feels good about Sandown as well. Another question I had for you, Sarah, was quite a lot of your team got involved in a lot of the events you did last year. Last year was a big anniversary for Sandown, wasn't it? And that sort of culminated in the 150 laps activity that you did, and various other volunteering bits throughout the year as well, I'm sure. But how did the team find that? Did they enjoy getting involved and volunteering?
Matt, let me tell you, we launched a community fund, but we needed to raise some funds pretty quickly because otherwise it was going to be a fundless fund. And it seemed like a fabulous idea when we came up with it, before our 150th birthday. Um, we decided that we'd walk 150 laps of the racecourse. It seemed like a fabulous idea. Anyway, as the time approached and we realized that we were going to have to walk back to back for 4 days to get this done, 24 hours a day, through the night, the rain, the heat actually was the one that got us on this one. And we were all pretty nervous about it. The team, though, wow, did they come together? They were astonishing. And do you know what? They loved it. And we all said, so it was a really, really busy time for us. We were racing, we had lots going on across the London region because we sit very close to Kempton and Epsom as well. So we support all of their events well. We were so busy. I actually remember being quite stressed about this event. Now, for the 4 days that we walked, I think that university, the team will say it was astonishingly good for our mental health. To see a race course in the middle of the night, to see the sun coming up, to actually get outside and have some physical exercise, it was the best thing that we've ever done. And the greatest thing was how many friends came to see us. Nick Luck came down and did a lap, various ex-MDs. We had jockeys running around the track. We even, I can't remember who it was, raced a horse around our track. It was you know, I can't remember who it was, but you know, we had such a fabulous time and we were so well supported that actually from our own mental health. Do you know what? If all of the courses take one thing out of this webinar today, for God's sake, do a bit of fundraising because it actually ROIs from a business sense. But you know what? Do it walking around your course because for your mental health, for your team, we had great conversations. We spent time together. The team loved it. They were fabulous, and it was a great thing to do. Don't do 150 laps, though. That's too many.
Yeah, you've raised really good points there, Sarah, and I think everyone on racecourse sides I know are so busy all the time, always thinking about the next big event. Sometimes taking a bit of time out, and spending time as a team and doing something outdoors can be so rewarding, and doing something sort of voluntary as well. So perhaps, yeah, if any sort of racecourse decision makers are
Mm.
listening,
It,
maybe
it
if they can sort of
it allows you
prioritize
to,
that.
yeah, it allows you to feel good about yourself. And I bet Debbie's back. We could see if she could speak. But I bet the grounds team love coming to help you, do they, Debbie? It's got worse. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I can't hear you at all now, I'm afraid, Debbie,
No.
but
I do apologise. I don't know,
Oh,
something must be wrong with my
Oh,
computer.
she's
you've come
there.
back
it's
there,
better
Debbie,
now.
so we
Is
we
it
could
better
hear you.
now?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So as long as you don't touch anything now.
I
Uh,
won't move, I promise.
so yeah, we were talking about racecourse teams actually taking the time out to volunteer and how rewarding that can be for the team, sort of from a team bonding perspective, mental health perspective, the ROI and the things that you can get from that. So and Sarah made the point she bets the grounds team at Cheltenham love coming down to your site and helping out. So
Absolutely, and we love having them too. Yeah, no, we've done quite a few little bits with their volunteering days. And also, the staff from the racecourse also come down sometimes when available and come and help us catch the ponies at the start of the day, which can be absolutely invaluable for us. But I know Sarah touched on mental health. I mean, what a great way to start the day, perhaps not when it's pouring with rain and freezing cold, but generally speaking, it gives an opportunity as well for us to collaborate more with the racecourse and to share ideas with each other. And who doesn't want to spend a bit of a time with a pony?
Well, I think, was it Winston Churchill said that the outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man?
Correct.
Debbie, is it worth covering off the Helping Hands project with Wellchild as well, where the Cheltenham team were a part of?
Yes, that was absolutely fantastic. Yes, Wellchild and the racecourse on your volunteering time came down and built the most amazing pergola for us in our sensory garden. It was a great time for us to collaborate together, to talk, to share wonderful stories, but also, Wellchild, as Grant mentioned and I mentioned earlier, we now have followed that and we're now using this pergola not only for Wellchild when they come down, so they can meet and greet and spend time with our ponies, which is invaluable, magic, sensational, sad, lots of different things that wouldn't happen without the racecourse. But equally, it's left us with an area that we can use. And we now use it regularly, Grant, actually, for Tea with a Pony. And in the summer, we have large groups coming from all different types of areas, but particularly from care homes that come in. We can now seat up to sort of 15 people in this pergola. We bring a couple of ponies that can bring their heads over the fence and meet and greet people living with dementia. It's so heartwarming hearing their stories. And we've even had an ex-jockey who used to ride on the racecourse actually take part in one of these sessions, which is incredible. So yeah, we have a huge thanks to you and to our child for setting that up for us. It's been invaluable for what we can now do in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's a good message for anybody listening, Racecourse or other sort of racing organisation, to get involved in the Racing Together Community Week when that happens later this year. Just spending a bit of time, I think, outside of the business, doing something for a local charity organisation can be so rewarding and actually make such a huge difference to the charity itself as well, even if it seems like a relatively small thing for the racecourse's perspective. I've just heard hot off the press that if anybody is looking to do some volunteering, Racing Together are running some workshops focusing on this and growing the Racing Together Community Week, which is Racing's National Week of Volunteering, for anybody that doesn't know. And there's a little link there to the Racing Together website where you can find out more information on that if you are interested. So if I come to you now, Grant, a lot of the work that you've been doing as part of the 100,000 opportunities has been based around young people. So a couple of points really. Why did Jockey Club decide to go for that lofty goal of 100,000 people? And why does Aintree and the wider Jockey Club think it's important to focus particularly on the opportunities for young people in the area?
Well, I think we started to kind of combine into the 100 years of the Gold Cup a few years ago, and we wanted to look at something which would be a stretch but fairly achievable. We evaluated that we probably engaged with about 6,500 to 7,000 people at that time. Young people at the time. So looking at things like the City of Sport and Excellence to increase what we do. I think it's difficult because you can't help everybody, and that's the point. You can't do everything. So just looking at a focus, especially from a national perspective, of looking at the kind of next generation, young people, etc. So we're still kind of working on some of the kind of strategy side of things with, as I mentioned earlier, we think beyond looking what the national picture is compared to the kind of local flex, and what is important to the reputation and the kind of commercialization of the local racecourse. But it was something that, yeah, as I say, we launched a couple of years ago at the Gold Cup, and who knows, maybe we'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's good to set such ambitious targets as well. Yeah, I reckon that's quite motivating for the team to really get these programs sort of over the line and get them up and running properly. So we've spent a bit of time talking about the submissions and the various work streams that's going on. Now, perhaps if we sort of shift the focus to what's coming up next. So, Sarah, if I come to you first, sort of what's next for the Community Fund and for Sandown?
Well, the beauty of the Community Fund is it's not a one-year thing. So this now goes on. We enter into phase 2. We've done our first round of donations to local good causes, and now we just raise more and we do it all again. So we do need to come up with a better proposal than walking 150 laps of the racecourse again this year, as much as we loved it. But yeah, we galvanise behind this, and we just keep plugging away and doing what we do and making sure that that we talk about what we do as well, because that's really important for engaging people who aren't necessarily racing fans with racecourses and with British racing.
Yeah, I think so. I think communicating all of the different work streams that are going on in this space is so important, like you say, to engage local communities. And I know that the Racing Together team can certainly help sort of amplify those messages for anybody that's listening. Any work that you are doing in this space, please make sure you are talking about it and you're telling, ourselves and Racing Together, so we can help you to promote it as well. Grant, from your sort of background from a comms perspective, have you got any sort of advice about talking about this kind of work for racecourses and other racing businesses?
Well, I mean, the way we've kind of worked, especially at Aintree, is I mean, as a comms professional, I was really bad about talking about it. I was actually quite keen to, to do the event and and get it done. But we've kind of set a bit of a plan in the lead up to the kind of big festival as such, because we have 500 to 550 media on site over the 3 days of the Grand National. So and also there's more interest in the weeks leading up to it. From a comms perspective, a lot of the kind of regional media, ITV Granada, BBC Northwest, Liverpool Echo, which are all kind of gold dust from a reputational commercial perspective for us, always looking for things in the lead up. So if we set out a plan, kind of 6 months in advance, that's what we do. So for me, it very much is regional media. It's very hard to get a decent spread or whatever in a in a national paper. BBC Breakfast. They're fairly interested as well. They've done a few pieces around Cheltenham and Aintree for us. But yeah, for me, obviously the community side of things is very much a regional TV and paper. But that side as well, content is huge for us. So creating your own content and amplifying it through our channels, but also maybe other channels, influencers, ambassadors, and things like that has worked well for us.
Yeah, absolutely, and sort of encourage those listening to not be backwards in coming forwards about doing this work. It's like you want to ensure that you're doing it for the right reasons, but also don't be sort of ashamed to talk about it and to promote it, because it will only sort of, I think, encourage and inspire other people to get involved as well and give good promotion, not only for yourselves, but for the charities and partners that you're helping as well.
Yeah, and media content, but also invite your local MP down as well to these events. Try and get across the political world as well. It's worked well for us in some of the Park Palace Ponies activity that we've done, the City of Sport and Excellence, the likes of Steve Rotherham, Bill Eston, Dan Carden, people like that. They've come down to it. So don't be shy about sending an invite out to them, because to be fair, it probably works well for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess as well, it will help them see the racecourse through a different perspective of not just racing and the various political things that are connected to that, but from seeing it from a community point of view as well is so helpful.
Yeah, not just enjoying hospitality and a glass of champagne.
Exactly, quite, yes. If I come to you now, Debbie, we were talking a bit before with Sarah about sort of what's next. So what's next for your centre and for your partnership with Cheltenham? Have you got anything in the pipeline?
Well, yes, something relatively quite big for Cotswold RDA. We're about to build and increase the size of our centre, and we've been given permission from Cheltenham Racecourse to do so. And this will enable us to allow us to deliver a lot more activities that we already do. Riding for the Disabled very much talks about the riding side and working with people with disabilities on a horse, but it is so much more. There's educational packages that we do. I explained about Tea with Pony, Pony 1-to-1. And we can see that we are very much needed as a community to help so many different people that maybe struggle to go to school. And so by enabling us to build some classrooms onto our indoor school, and to build a bespoke room for our mechanical horse, which will allow more clients to be accessible, because at the moment we haven't got a hoist for him. We hope then to be able to bring, a larger community in and help many more people. And this is, thanks to Cheltenham Racecourse for allowing us to be able to do this. But hopefully by also having these facilities, we hope that maybe we can give them back sometimes, maybe during racing when we don't run, to help the racecourse in areas that they might need us. For example, Tattersalls will use us through the March meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be beneficial for both parties, like you say there, and really exciting news about the expansion and the various different things that will enable you to offer as a charity and just be help to more people. So we're coming towards the end of today's session, but Debbie, I imagine there's quite a lot of racecourses listening that currently do bits with their local RDA centre, but would perhaps like to do more. So have you got any advice for them on how they could perhaps reach out, or how they could unlock a bit more from their partnership?
Well, certainly for us, for the RDA community, it's spreading awareness. Please help us spread awareness so that we actually exist. And what we do is very magical. There are 450 centres across Britain, and I'm sure there's quite a few of those that are very close to racecourses. We are very lucky being situated at Cheltenham Racecourse. I think we're probably one of the luckiest. But there are many more smaller RDA centres that could benefit from being in a collaboration with a racecourse, whether it be for helping them fundraise, or simply, like I say, spreading the word and helping us tell more people about the impact of what we do and how we use a horse maybe in a different way to maybe other people see. For example, racing, the equestrian world is huge, but the impact a horse gives in the work that I do perhaps is quite different. And I think that word should be spread more so. Yes, there's so much that I do believe that racecourses and RDA could do in the future, and I am constantly exploring these areas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think encourage any racecourses listening to reach out to their local, find out where it is, and to reach out to them if they haven't done so already, to their local centre, because as we've discussed already, it can be so beneficial for both parties, and it can be so rewarding for staff as well, sort of getting involved with those local centres. Before we close, if I come to you, Sarah, are there any sort of key messages that you would say to people listening off the back of the work that you've done at Sandown, and how they could implement some of the learnings at their own racecourses?
I think there are two things that I would say take away. We always go with the power of yes. So we wherever we can, we now say yes to helping people. As long as there's no cost, obviously to us, we say yes. And that has generated so many relationships that we now leverage. And remembering that community engagement isn't a cost, it's a revenue stream. So it's, don't be afraid of it, and don't be afraid to say yes. And I just encourage everyone to throw themselves wholeheartedly into their local community, because the rewards are, they're beyond financial, but they are financial as well.
Absolutely. And finally, Grant, same question to you. Are there any, from your years of working in this space, are there any sort of key takeaways that you would say to racecourses and other racing organisations?
Yeah, there's kind of three P's really: people, partnerships, and place. So, we're lucky as racecourses to have great facilities. So the use of, when it comes to place, use of our kind of assets and facilities, we should use them better, and that's something we're trying to work on a bit more. Find people within your organisation who have a real passion for it, as well, but also people from kind of partnerships. And partnerships are absolutely key, to be honest. We wouldn't have done what we've done at Aintree without the partners that we've been working with at all. So those are kind of three kind of key things that have kind of helped success of what we've done so far anyway.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing, as we've discussed today, there's so much going on in this space, and I think long may it continue. And it sounds like there's a lot of exciting plans on the horizon as well. Well, I think that is just about wraps up for today's session. So I'd like to say thank you to our three panelists for their time and for their expertise that they've shared today. Thank you to Racing Together as well for putting this event on, and thank you to everybody that signed up and listened today. Hopefully you found it insightful and helpful, and there'll be plenty of things for you to take away. I'd like to point forward now to the Racing Together Industry Day that is coming up on the 4th of February. It's taking place at Lingfield Park Racecourse. They've got a number of keynote speakers from this space, from racing and beyond. There's some really interesting people that you can listen to there. Preeti, who Grant mentioned earlier on in this session, from Upshot, talking about measuring the impact of it, and then a number of other speakers from racing and beyond as well. And I think worth mentioning, there is a panel happening at that session that will also talk about other racecourse activity, and that will include the Hereford Racecourse team, who were the winners of the Racing Together Community Award at Showcase last year. So you'll be able to get some insights from them and a number of other racecourses as well. There are still a few tickets left for that session, so please do visit the Racing Together website to find out more and to book your place. It would be great to see as many of you there as possible. Finally, like I say, for information on future editions of this webinar and for more information on Racing Together in general, please do follow them on social media and check out their website. If you just Google Racing Together, you'll be able to find them and the various links. And like I say, there will be a short survey that pops up when this webinar finishes. So please do take the time to fill that in. It'd be great to get your thoughts on how we can develop these sessions moving forwards to be for the benefit of everybody. But yeah, I will leave it there. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. And I look forward to seeing some of you on future editions of this webinar and at the Industry Day in February.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Cheers all. Thanks.